Welcome to the first ever podcast, Beve 42. I'm Mark. This is Beve.
I'm Beve. How you doing, 42?
Very good, my friend. Very good. So, starting the NRL season. Excited?
Yep. Can't wait. Starts tomorrow.
Does indeed. And look, we probably should lead off with the news of the day. Cam Smith. It's been just dragging on and on. It's finally happened. He's retired. Thoughts?
Yep. Look, farewell. Adios. Time to leave, right? So, yeah, look, I mean, he's a legend, isn't he? 430-something games, whatever the number is, right? So no one's going to get anywhere close to that, right? And, what a super player. What an unbelievable player. Probably the best player I think I've ever seen, even though, probably don't agree with all of his antics. Just a super player. So, and he got the ceremonial statue out the front of Amy Park. Him and Billy Slater, who, I think I could have drawn stickmen that were a little closer to what they look like than what those statues actually are. No. What an absolutely horrible reflection on those guys. Can you imagine turning up there today and going, that doesn't look like me at all, right? It's just terrible. So anyway, well done, Melbourne.
Couldn't agree more. Those statues are terrible. Look, I know you and I are on opposite sides of the fence when it comes to Cam Smith. I love him, but I know the public perception of him is he's a grub. And many south of the border would think that he's maybe a bit overrated, but the numbers don't lie. And
no.
What a career.
No. Nothing but respect for the guy in terms of his playing abilities, right? So, not the fastest guy, just, creative and cagey, So look, well done, Cam. Great career. And sadly for the Tits, you're not going to get him playing for you this year. Bit of a missing piece for the Titans, right? So, I've got to compliment you on your setup. A couple of Titans jersey, a Raiders jersey, Chargers jersey, and then a Canucks jersey, right? So
pride and joy is the Chargers jersey, my friend. But that's all. But yeah, look, we'll look that up. Cam Smith, great career. But yeah, time to move on. Not playing for anyone now. So
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So, new season.
Right. So, new season. So, let's run through our predicted eights, right? So,
top eight.
Who we've got from top eight? Yep. Right. So, I'll go first.
Fire away, my friend.
I got the Rabbits. I think they're in for a big year. They blew the Dragons off the park the other day in the Charity Shield, which is obviously a pretty easy feat. I think they're in for a big one. Latrell was just lights out. So if he can stay healthy, I think that the Rabbits are in for a good one. I got the Roosters coming in second. Just classy, right? And lots of depth, right? So the team for round one looks amazing, and they're still without Cordner. Who knows if he'll ever play again? But no Radley as well, right? So just solid. So in third, I've got Canberra. I think Hodgson coming back will be a good one for them. I think they're a smoky team. They picked up Ryan James, who, if he can stay fit, will be a fantastic addition for them. For depth. Greg Williams, as long as they was like that in the AFL, right? He was just Naira, but knew how to be effective. Keep them off the piss. So look, and behind the wheel, then I think they'll be all right. So fourth, I got the Storm. Just amazing what these guys have done, right? So Harry Grant might be the best hooker in the game now, right? Was just sensational last year, and he plays just like Cam Smith, right? Very creative, decent kicking game. He's going to be a superstar of the future, and they've just reinvented themselves, which is fantastic. Fifth, I got Parramatta. I think the Eels just a little bit short again. Decent team, but probably don't have enough to battle with the big boys. Surprisingly, sixth, I've got the Penny Panthers. All right. So they lost a bit of depth with Tamo leaving and Zane Tedovano. And, I just, do they have that depth in the forwards to be able to, and they lost to Hetherington and some of those other depth players as well, who admittedly they gave off to the Warriors midway through the year, I think. But I just think they might struggle with a bit of bulk in the engine room. So let's see. Seventh, got a Smoky, Tigers. All right, so Madge Maguire, right? So look, there's always someone who surprises. And, the Tigers, they broke the ninth. They broke ninth. I think James Roberts is a good in. Offangaui's a decent in. And Tamo's a good in, right? So I think their forward depth's a bit better. And their outside backs, assuming BJ Leilua isn't the grub that he usually is, will get the job done. So, and then in eighth, I've got the Newcastle Knights, Henny Penny, just sneaking in, right? So Blake Green's a big addition for them, right? I really like Blake Green as an in once he gets back on the field. Really will help with giving some direction, taking the pressure off Mitchell Pearce. Ponga, when he comes back, will be electric. That's just how he is, right? And Tyson Frizzell's a big in for them to give them, a lot more starch in the back row, and can be an 80-minute player. So that's my top eight. Unfortunately for you, no Gold Coast Titans.
Oh.
I took them out today because I'm not sure of their depth, right, outside their top 13. I just thought they were a little bit skinny. So what about yourself, mate? Who have you got?
Mate, look, a bit upset you haven't got the Titans in there, but look, all roughly a similar top eight. So, look, I got South really at the top. Genuine title contenders this year. Mitchell looks fit. Everyone's talking about how Reynolds' contract's going to be a distraction. I think he's going to play the lights out to ensure that.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
I've got them winning by heaps. I've got the Roosters coming second as well. They're massive sombrero. That forward list is ridiculous. The fact that they've got Cordner, who's out, and as you rightly said, may not play again, but Victor Radley's there. Like, these are guys that are genuine Origin players who are not in that team. And the only downside I've got for the Roosters is Tedesco might be their goal kicker.
Yeah, good point. I mean, that's a bit scary, right, when you look at it that way. But they do have Takiaho who kicks goals pretty good for a big forward, right? So, but could be an issue, especially when he goes off for a breather, right? So
a little bit different from you. I do have the Panthers coming in third. They lose some forwards. There's no doubt about it. But my concern with them is Luai really a good 5'8"? I don't know. I really don't know about him.
Look, I mean, he was in that Origin squad last year, right? So they must have. Look, he played great, right? Yeah. And I remember a couple of years ago him playing in a semi-final against the Dragons in reserve grade. The guy just cut them to pieces, and you could see that the guy was just, steps above, the competition he was playing against, right? So, he was a good foil for Cleary last year, right? Cleary's more balanced, and Luai's got a bit more spark to him, right? Cut them to pieces, and you could see that the guy was just
touted as a great number 6 who's getting traded. Crazy. But anyway, if they've got the depth to
you know what? It's a little reminder of like what happened with DCE and was it Trent Hodgkinson those years ago, right? Hodgkinson, I think, won the Rookie of the Year playing for Manly, and then they let him go so they could bring DCE, right? So I'm sure there was a salary cap implication there, right? But look, did they make the right call? Did they pick the wrong one, right? So I kind of get a feeling that they're picking for today, right? So Luai is more a finished product today than maybe Burton is, and their window is now.
Yeah.
So,
no, totally agree. And as a Titans fan, I despise the conversation of DCE. So we'll move on to the Storm, where look, I've still got them in fourth. Big concern though with Harry Grant, absolute stud of a player, looks like a Smith clone. He's out for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, and I thought about that too, but they got the cheese. You know, the cheese is still a decent hooker. He's a New Zealand hooker. They're not going to miss too much there, right? You know, so they'll miss the cheese on the bench or come playing at lock, but you know, they'll still be all right. You know, my concern on them is kicking. Pappenhausen, I think, is their kicker, right? You know, so so you know, can he kick at 80%, high 70%? Because that's what the good teams do. And you know, Reynolds is a sharpshooter. So if you get into an a battle with the Roosters, they'll turn 4s to 6s. So you can't afford to not do the same thing.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
The only concern I have there with the cheese is who's the backup hooker to give him 20 minutes of breather? And
I don't think he needs it.
Think he's 80 minutes?
Right? So I think he can. Right. I mean, you know, and you know, ultimately when he leaves the Storm at the end of this year, because he wants to be a hooker, right? And he goes to the Titans, then you know, he's gonna be an 80-minute player, right? You're not gonna take him off, right? The guy just goes and goes. So let's see. Yeah. Okay, great.
New Zealand representative. Let's be honest, right?
Dylan Hooker. Yeah.
All right. So it's six, sorry, skipped. I've gone to fifth. With the Raiders. Hodgson coming back's massive. He just makes that team completely different. And I agree with you. If they can keep those guys, the two Coreys on the field, then my goodness, what a team. They don't have Nick Kotrick in the backs, which I think is a big out. He can play, and they.
Oh, Croker.
Jared
Croker.
Apparently, he's only a week away, so probably not a big deal. But who is their goal kicker with him out?
Apparently, George Williams, the halfback who doesn't do up his shoelaces, right? So, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there, right? I mean, sometimes we don't really get an idea of whether these guys kick. I don't know if he kicked in England, but you know, like you said, he's only out for a week, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Raiders are a little skinny in the outside backs, but great forward pack. Great forward pack, you know. Awesome. Imagine Ryan James, assuming he stays healthy and, you know, God willing, I mean, the guy's had a bad run of luck, right? So let's hope he turns it around, right? Because, you know, I mean, you'd even be wishing him well as a Tips fan, right?
Without a doubt. I was devastated to let him go, to be honest. He's
I agree.
2 years. He was the leader of our club, and he kept
totally agree.
Some really bad times.
Yeah. And I look at your forward depth. You know, I look at your bench, and that's the concern I have. You know, you get someone like him. He comes on, even if he starts, and you bring Wallace off the bench or something, right? You don't miss something. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So Raiders in fifth.
I agree. And look, I wish Ryan James all the luck in the world. A genuine superstar who was almost origin bound, just missed out.
Yep. 18th man a couple of times.
Yep. So, you know what? Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers for you a lot of years. At 6, I got the Eels. My concern there is, and all the talk is about how Moses is a flat track bully, but when the big games are on, he goes missing. And he's what is he, $1 million player, $800,000 player? He's the guy that
probably 800. Yeah.
And you know, you've got a guy on the wing, Ferguson, who scored till round 16 last year.
I know that's a concern, isn't it?
It's huge.
I mean, you know, great at bringing the ball out, but you got to score when you're on the wing.
Yeah,
you got to score. So if you're not getting 10 plus, you're not doing your job. So, yeah,
great forward pack, and they'll intimidate any team they play. Just don't know if they can get it done this year. I think last year was a good year for them. They can't repeat, in my opinion. So I've got them at 6. Then we move on to the boys. Number 7, Titans. And I know it's very biased, but geez, it's been a lot of years. And so any hope, I'm just going to jump on. To be honest, though, I'm way more interested in how Tino performs over David Fifita. Tino looks like a more regular, consistent player. I think Fifita will score a few tries and he'll be flashy. But the guy I want to depend on is that big fella from Melbourne. He is just a superstar.
I don't think anyone improved progressively from the start of the season to the end of the season like he did last year, right? So, when you signed him apparently on big money, it was like, oh, did you go too early? You're buying on potential. Yeah, you were buying on potential, but now you're not. It's delivered, right? The guy is a super player, right? Yeah. He's going to be great for a long time. Yeah. Hopefully you can keep him.
Yeah, well, that's the key too. So,
so my
are still around.
My only concern with you guys is your depth.
Yeah.
So our predictions could be screwed if Reynolds is out for the year, right? Or if Keary's out for the year, right? So there's going to be an element of luck in terms of the injuries and the timing of injuries. But if you get a couple of them, I just worry that you'll fall a bit off the pace. But it'll be a great year for the Titans, and it's great that there's something positive to look forward to. I look forward to watching them every week, right? So, mind you, I watch everyone every week, right? But certainly look forward to watching the Titans and cheering them on.
Yeah, and
time for some good news.
The thing for the Titans, which is a bit different this year, is they've got some decent players who aren't making the 17.
You got the Peach, right? Fantastic player. If he's got a team that's going, right? But your forwards, you've got to have forwards who can come on and do the same job as the guys who are coming off.
Yeah.
And you look at the bench for the Roosters this week, right? They're already missing Cordner and Radley, and they got Jared Warrior-Hargraves coming off the bench, right? And that's my concern. If you guys can keep your top 13 on the field, then you're a genuine chance for the 8. But if you lose a couple of forwards, for an extended period, might be trouble, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I agree.
I mean, yeah. So anyway, I mean, it's good to dream. It's good to have. It's good to have hope at the start of the season, right? Hey, I'm a Dragons fan. I'm just hoping we don't come 16th, right? So,
hey,
right, who you got, Nate?
The beauty of the start of the season is everyone's got hope, my friend. So you know what? In 8th, I've got something that I never, ever thought I would say. Being a Titans fan for so long, our big brothers have always just had a shadow on us. I can't see how that team won't come 8th when I look at the other team in the 8, in the bottom 8.
Broncos to be in the top 8.
Top 8.
That's a ballsy pick.
It's got nothing to do with Kevin Walters because I'm so happy he did not get the coach of the Titans.
Well, it must be all to do with Kevin Walters because the Broncos came last year, and they've lost Fifita, and they're going to jump to 8th, right? So, look, you know what I mean? Attitude's huge, right? Clearly they didn't see Seabold as the man that Seabold thinks he is. And interestingly, his interview where he says, well, they didn't like me because I'm an academic.
Yeah.
I mean, what a douche. What a douche, right? So I hope you never coach in the NRL again.
He won't coach again based on that.
It is justifying why he's so good, right? I'm better than everyone else. I mean, have some humility, you dick.
Exactly.
Right? You took the Broncos, very proud club, as we know from living in Queensland, and you turned them into a laughingstock, which for us, it was possibly as good a year as winning a premiership, seeing them come last, right? So, fantastic, right?
Yep.
Fantastic. But, I think that's a ballsy pick too, right? So I guess, that's the equivalent of my Tigers, right? So, although I think yours is a bit ballsier than mine, right? So, So I like it. Right?
The one thing I'll say is, yes, they're missing Fafita. They also missed him last year. He only played 4 games. So,
yeah, good point. Good point. Right. So, but they're also missing Stags for the first half of the year or so.
And
so
McCulloch's out too. He's gone to you boys.
McCulloch, yeah. Hooker of the future for the Dragons.
That's a big out. But anyway, look, it was a speculative pick. I had the Knights in there roughly around the 8.
You've just confirmed to me that you're really a closet Broncos fan, right?
We'll move on. Right. So who have you got the minor premiership?
Yeah, the Rabbits. I don't see them. You said you see them winning by a mile. I don't see them winning by a mile. Right. I think it's going to be tight. That top 4, even the top 5, or the top 6 will be pretty tight. So I'm the Rabbits, same as you, but probably not by a country mile. Right. So
just one thing on the minor premiers I wanted to say was big difference this year is Origin's middle of the year. Very different
good point.
from what happened last year. So teams are going to give their star players for 3 to 6 weeks, given the 2-week turnaround every Origin. And
fair enough. I honestly didn't take that into consideration, right? It'd be interesting to see how many the Rabbits end up with, though, right? I mean, they got Cook, they got Murray, they probably got Sewer, right? Walker. Mitchell.
Maybe Walker. What is Arrow even going to
Jai Arrow
the Origin side if he's number 17 in round 1?
Jai Arrow. Come on, he's just coming off the bench at the beginning. You think they're going to play Jacob Host all year instead of him?
I don't know.
I think
an expensive number 17 at 700 or 800.
Absolutely. Spoon, I got the Sharks. I see, decent team, but they're going to miss Johnson for a while. First half of the year, probably.
How many
weeks? I look at that. I don't know how long, but it'd probably be close to half a year. You got to think at least the first 10 rounds. I don't know exactly. But, I also look at their team and, you're relying on Moylan, Dugan, both made of paper mache, right? I just don't see them being durable. They got that pressure on John Morris in the background. Fafita's apparently dropped a lot of weight, but he can't make their 17 for the first week, right? Maybe he's a late in and they're just sending the message. I don't know. But, I think it'll be, I think they're a team who could suffer with some injuries, right? And as a result of that, I just think that they'll be under pressure and therefore I've got them as the Spoon. Plus, I had to choose someone else other than the Dragons, who I think will be pretty close to that as well. Right?
So now that you've touched on that subject, I've gone with the Dragons. I'm really sorry, brother, but I don't see anything in that side this year. The forward pack is underwhelming. I mean, they've got McCulloch, who's come in at hooker to replace McInnes.
Look, thank God he came in, right?
Who played most of the year last year anyway.
Yeah, but Benny Hunt's pretty effective at hooker, right?
But he's starting at 7, so they're putting the trust in him to be 7, and I think you got Clune at 6 this week. And
so Clune's in, but Clune's only in because Sullivan's injured. Or he's done a hammy, right?
Much as Dufty's had a bit of an uprising, and what a superstar and scoring points, his defense is really scary. And when you look at the
he's a witch's hat.
Yeah. You look at the fullbacks and you want them to be making try-saving tackles, and he's not a guy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No. You get anywhere close to the line 1-on-1, just put the ball down. Right? Look, I agree with you. I think the biggest issue is the forwards, right? So I just don't see, what the hell are they doing? Why would you let Jacob Host go?
Yeah.
Now starting for Souths, and we don't have a second row. We don't have second rowers. So I don't know what's going on there. The fact that McInnes got let go. I mean, why wouldn't you sign McInnes on 550? The guy's the heart and soul of the team. I know that, he's done an ACL this year, but, hey, they didn't know that at the time, right? So I just think, unless they've got some other plans on other players that they're really trying to get for next year, but for this year, it's looking pretty sad, right? So you could be pretty close to the money there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and sorry to say. But anyway, so let's move on to more positive stuff. My grand final that I'm picking would be, well, I've obviously picked the Bunnies to be first, but I reckon Raiders will sneak in. It'll be a Bunnies-Raiders final.
Oh, wow. So let me just recap, right, for you. You got the Raiders coming 5th and getting to the GF.
Yes.
So a team outside the top 4 to get to the GF.
100%.
That's pretty ballsy. That's pretty ballsy, right?
I think it'll just take weeks to get used to getting back into that winner's circle and being that confident team they can be.
Yeah. Look, interesting, right? So I actually have the Tigers knocking off the Raiders. And yeah, okay, look, that's an interesting grand final. That's a ballsy move, the Raiders getting there from outside the top 4, right? So, but in saying that, there's probably 5 or 6 teams who can win it. The Rabbits against the Storm, the way I see it is the first game of the year will be the last game of the year. I've got the Storm coming in 4th and the Rabbits coming 1st. So they're meeting in that first round of the finals and then splitting off with whoever wins and losers, going different sides of the pool and then meeting together again in the GF. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see, right? Look, I mean, Rabbits Raiders, geez, you should have a look at what that's paying on Sportsbet.
Yeah.
Or our official betting agency who sponsors us, right? Top try scorer. Who you got?
Look, I found this a really difficult thing to look at. I looked at a bunch of teams, the teams I thought in the top 4 or 5. And bloody hell, I've gone with Alex Johnson again, even though he won it last year. And
it was amazing. It was fantastic.
Incredible. But I see South being really dominant and running up a lot of big scores this year. As long as he can hold his position, there's a big guy, Jackson Paulo, who's not playing, who scores a bunch of tries on the wing as well. So hopefully he keeps his position. I'm going to stick with Johnson.
Okay, nice. I had a look through and I wasn't quite sure as well. I thought this is a really tough one, right? So one stage I looked at Mike Acevo because, he's just powerful, right? I looked at Blake Ferguson, bounce back year, but didn't see him getting past 5 or 6. And in the end I went with, given that I've got the Tigers hitting the top 8, I've gone with David Nofaluma.
Wow.
So I see him as pivotal. He's got a good center outside him. Right? I'm not sure which wing he's going to be on, but between Jimmy the Jet and BJ, he's going to have someone feeding him ball. I'm pretty sure he's going to have Jimmy the Jet, right? So, so the guy can score, and he could score when he didn't have good support. So that he's my my pick for that.
No, fair enough.
Top point scorer.
I would prefer if he was outside Leilua. Much more of a break the tackle, slip the pass type of guy. Roberts just hangs on to it and run himself. So if he's outside Roberts, I'd tip him to not score many.
Yeah. Top point scorer, I've gone Adam Reynolds. I think the Rabbits are in for a big year and the guy just kicks from everywhere, right? So he's my man for that. Adam Reynolds, who you got?
I've gone exactly the same. I tossed up whether Nathan Cleary, but reality is I'm with you. I don't think Penrith are going to be as good this year. And yeah, I've stuck with Reynolds. He won it last year, and I think they're just going to be better.
So Dally M, who you got? Who you got to win the Dally M?
I'm going on a guy that I'm not a big fan of, but he's just looking really in prime condition. Latrell Mitchell, guy's going to just blow this comp apart this year. And I think he'll be a backup goal kicker for Reynolds if he has to go off.
Yeah, look, the guy can do it all, can't he, right? I mean, I was a bit concerned he wasn't going to make it as a fullback. I thought he was a bit slow, a bit big. But, look, he's great. He's the goods, So, great ball playing skills. So, yeah, look, it's a good pick, especially in a top side. My only concern with Latrell was he's playing in such a top side that, he's got players like Walker, Cookie, who are going to steal votes from him, right? So that's why I stayed away from him.
Yeah,
I went with the strip club king, Cameron Munster. So I just, look, he's a lad. They're going to need him to steer the team around without Cameron Smith this year. Jerome Hughes isn't that organising half, I don't think. And, I see Munster taking control of that team. Harry Grant will help when he comes back, but they're going to rely on the Munster to take them around and get them the W's. Yeah, look, great game to kick off the year, right? So, interestingly, who you got in that one? It's down in Melbourne. They haven't lost in 100 years in Melbourne, and Souths haven't won in 100 years in Melbourne. So, who you got to win that?
So I've gone with South, obviously.
Yeah, I'm on South too, right? So it just makes sense. They're due, right? So purely because they're due, right? Fiction. So what's your random prediction of the year too?
Mate, well, I'm going to go against you. I really can't see the Tigers being successful this year. And I think Madge is going to get the arse. He's got a lot of unrest in his team. There's been a bunch of players who have left the club. And
I don't think Corey Norman's going to end the year with the Dragons. I think he's going to end up going to England. I think, the Dragons will struggle. And, he's on a contract year, and somewhere they'll find someone who will be willing to take him on over there, give him a multi-year deal. It would be fantastic for the Dragons.
I think that's the season preview for 2021.
All right. We'll see you next week.